Hello everyone, this is John Butero back with another video. Today I want to address a question that was posed to me by an atheist, and it was one of those kind of questions where they really were apparently not wanting an answer on it, because no matter how many times I answered them, whether it be a long answer or a short answer or more tactful or whatever, everything I would ever post would be deleted. Now, sometimes I realize that YouTube has something that automatically will delete certain types of answers that you'll post, but it was clear in this case that they just didn't really want an answer. They just wanted the last word. They didn't think I had an answer for them, but I did. And the question that I want to address that was asked to me was that I was calling atheists a religion, and they wanted to know, how exactly do I consider them to be a religion? You know, atheists will deny being any kind of a religion. They will say that they just simply don't believe in anything. But in reality, it just depends. I believe that there are some atheists that really are not a religion. But I believe that the atheists that I've been dealing with on YouTube most certainly are a religion. And before I get into that, I want to look at the definitions that I found on religion and what they say. The first one is the belief in and worship of a superhuman power or powers, especially a god or gods. The second definition is a particular system of faith and worship. And the third definition is a pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance. And the example that they gave was that, quote, consumerism is the new religion. They very easily are religion if we go by the third definition that is here, a pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance. And it's obvious that they do that by the sheer number of videos they put out obsessing over atheism and obsessing over Christianity, which they continue to say is false. So they clearly put a lot of importance into this uh, pursuit. I mean, they really give everything to it. Some of them put out multiple videos in a single week doing nothing but attacking Christianity and promoting atheism. Now, in addition to that, I also want to cover another thing, and that is I consider them to be not only a religion, but a cult religion. You know, the atheists like to throw around the title of cult all the time when they're talking about Christians. They will even use the same thing to, describe certain political figures, such as the one who is running for president on the Republican Party this time. They will say that he's got a cult following. The problem with the word cult is it can apply to so many different people or beliefs that it really has very little meaning anymore. As a Christian, when I would think of somebody as a cult, and sometimes we would talk about groups like Jehovah Witnesses as a cult, or perhaps Latter-day Saints as a cult. What I would always think of is a group that doesn't acknowledge the deity of Christ. That was how I looked at a cult. That's what made the decision for me. However, when you look up the actual definition of cult, it's very broad in its meanings. And so let's look at that for just a moment. A cult is a system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. It also means a relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. And the last one is a misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing. Well, you can clearly see that by the definitions of cult, anybody or any religion that has any kind of a following could be considered as a cult. And I would say that certainly I find that to be the case of certain atheists that I find on YouTube. And I'll give you a few examples. People like Timmy Gibson, former pastor, now atheist, who's on YouTube. Brandon over at Mindshift, Christy Burke. And then there's others that are on here. Some of them are working their way up to having a cult following. And, they can also say the same thing about just about any religious figure, because almost any religious figure out there would qualify for this definition of cult status. So the way I look at it, it's almost a meaningless thing in what it comes down to. Certainly, I can call atheists on YouTube, certainly a lot of them, a cult, and I certainly can call them a cult religion. Now, I did say that I do not consider all atheists to be a cult. I don't consider all atheists to be a religion. There's two different kinds that I basically encountered over the years, and one of them is a group of people who just absolutely just simply don't have a belief system. They don't believe in a God. They don't believe in anything, really. They're just kind of going through life day by day, and they're not seeking to find out if there's a God or anything. They just simply don't believe. And the way they live their lives, it shows, because they're not, they don't attack people that are Christian. They're not obsessed with, trying to get people not to believe in God. They just kind of live their lives. They're generally libertarian-minded people, and they just want to be left alone pretty much, but they're not offended by manger scenes and the Ten Commandments being posted somewhere or anything like that. And I've always said, even if I was an unbeliever, I wouldn't care anything about those things either. It wouldn't bother me. I mean, it's kind of like if I was an atheist and I found out that in the school they had a Christian prayer and read from the Bible, and maybe had the Ten Commandments up. If I'm just an atheist, my thinking would be, well, they might be superstitious, but I wouldn't really care anything about it. I wouldn't be fighting over it. If I had kids and they asked me about it and I was an unbeliever, I'd just tell them it's just, superstition that people have. And I wouldn't look at it any different than when they, teach Santa Claus or Easter Bunny or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, it's not something to get all worked up over. Those kind of atheists, I don't think they are religion. I just think they're just living their life. They just don't know what's out there. A lot of them are agnostics, really. They'll even tell you they don't know if there's a God or not. They just don't have any reason to believe in it. And I do consider them to either be atheist or agnostic and genuine, not a religion. But now the ones that are on YouTube, I most definitely do see them as a religion. They have a belief system. The majority of them, I've said this before, are basically socialists. Their religion can be pretty much summed up in John Lennon's song Imagine. And they have a lot of the things that churches have. They have, just from what I've seen on YouTube, they have your evangelists, they have your preachers, and they have your teachers. And some of them act in multiple roles, but that's what they've got all over YouTube. Timmy Gibson is a former pastor, and he is still behaving much like a pastor, even down to having 2 videos that he puts out a week. And when does he do them? On Sunday and Wednesday. He's just carrying on the practice of what he did when he was a Christian pastor, but now he is actually an atheist pastor preaching for his new religion. Now, as a Christian, I believe you're either a follower of Christ or you're a follower of the devil. So I look at it like he simply changed sides and now he's a follower of the devil, but regardless, he is religious. And I also could tell when I saw him on one of his more recent videos, when he was kind of mocking the Bible and he was picking up a Bible and going through sort of the routine you would if you were a pastor, open your Bible up to such and such. When he was doing that, I could just sense in my spirit that he has a calling on his life to be a pastor. And I went back and I believe he really was a Christian at one time. I've seen old videos that he had on YouTube when he was a pastor, and he was a different person, but you could tell he was a real believer back at that time. He'd even founded a church. And I believe he was called as a pastor. Now, over time, when he fell away and he left the faith, but nevertheless, the Bible says that God's callings are without repentance, and his gifts and callings. And I believe he's still got the gift of being a pastor, and he always will have it. And I could just sense that when I saw him reading from a Bible, even if he was doing it in, mocking God. But he's just basically just turned over. Now he's a pastor for atheism. He's a preacher for atheism. When you look at Brandon over at Mindship, he's a teacher. He knows how to teach. He's got a gift for teaching, but he is teaching for atheism. That's his new religion. He will deny it's a religion, but everything about him, he's doing the exact same thing that Christians do when they're teaching about God in the Bible, but he's doing it for atheism. And then you got Christy Burke over there, and she is coming across as sort of an evangelist for atheism. She's literally preaching against the Christian faith and for atheism. They're doing exactly the same thing that Christians do, but they're now doing it for their religion of atheism. And again, what's that third definition for religion? They claim that they're not a religion. Well, I do believe they fall under this category. Again, the ones I'm talking about are the ones that are over here all over YouTube, the ones who are into the deconstruction stuff. It's a pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance. And the example that they gave in the quote again was consumerism is the new religion, but I very easily could just substitute that for atheism is a religion. Fact of the matter is, you don't have to actually be promoting a particular God to be a part of a religion based on this definition. But I would also suggest to you, though, that any of them that are going around promoting evolution and promoting the Big Bang do have a God. Their God is the universe. It created itself. As I've said before, maybe it's a dumb God who just goes around creating, helter-skelter and whatever, but nevertheless, it is their God because it is their creator. So even those atheists that believe in that have a God. And then, of course, you've got the other atheists who are kind of running away from that, and they'll just kind of have the, look like they just don't care. It's like they don't care how they got here. All they care about is they just don't believe in our God. And to me, if somebody is going around with that kind of belief system, they don't care how they got here. They don't know how they got here. To me, they're not worth listening to. They'll turn around and they'll say, yeah, but it's better than making up something. Nobody's making up anything. We believe what we're saying. We're not running from it. I believe in the Genesis account of creation. I'm not making that up. I didn't come up with the Genesis. I had to go out and buy a Bible, and I read it in a Bible that's been around since 1611. And the manuscripts that it was translated from or go back much further than that. So I'm not making up anything. I just believe in it. So you've got the atheists over there that are saying they believe in the scientific explanation, the one that has the peer review, the one that has all these different ones in agreement with each other. There's those atheists over there, and their God is the universe. And then there's the one with the, just like, I don't know where we came from. It's okay to say, I don't know. That group of atheists. Now, one of the things I do want to bring up, some of the atheists are claiming that they are not believing in random chance or a creator because they're saying that some of them believe that we are in a simulation. And I have pointed out this already before. It should be obvious, but it's not to some of them, unfortunately. If you're in a simulation, somebody or something had to create the computer in which the simulation is running, and someone or something had to create the person who created the computer and the program. So there, even in that case, it's either that guy got there by random chance or by a creator. But even if we use the simulation argument, which is pretty dumb to me, but even if you're going to use that and you really believe that the Matrix is based on something true, even if you believe that, you still got to either have a situation of a creator or random chance. Well, that's really all I wanted to talk about on this video. As I said, somebody had asked me about it. I don't think they really wanted an answer. I think they just wanted the last word. I kept giving them answers. They kept removing the answers. So I said, well, you know what? Then I'm just going to make a video on it. So that's what I've done. And so in my opinion, I think it's obvious that the atheists that we see on YouTube are nothing more than a cult religion. Some of them are just a religion. Maybe they don't all have a cult following. There's some of them that are just so small they don't have any major followings. Some of them are aspiring cultists. They're on their way. They haven't gotten there yet, but they're working at it. There's a couple of sisters that are atheists that I've come across that claim that they were raised Christian and now they're atheists. One of them said that she is dying of cancer and she still doesn't fear God. They're trying to gain a following, and they are gaining, pretty good number of views. They may be getting close to cult status themselves, but they're already a religion. They're on there teaching against God and preaching against God. So I would definitely call them a cult religion. But the way I look at it, they have all of the what's necessary to call them just another religion, whether they like it or not. Certainly, by the third definition, they most certainly are. And the idea that everything just came about by natural means, I've never seen a fish turn into a chimpanzee. I've never seen a fish turn into an elephant. I've never seen a jellyfish or an octopus or something like that turn into a giraffe. I've never seen that, so I don't call that natural anything. But they'll say it's natural means. It's absolutely ludicrous. And then they turn around and they say that the Bible is hard to believe. The Bible's got crazy stories in it. But when you start looking at what they're saying, they've got us related to everything that exists, including snails and insects and everything, and the fish and the birds and everything that exists, is all related because according to them, everything originated in the sea from microscopic organisms. So I find that very hard to believe. And I think it takes a lot of faith, and there is no evidence for that. I've said this over and over, and I'll say it again. The only evidence there is that certain mutations took place within certain species. There is no evidence for any of this kind of stuff that was necessary for us to have evolved from sea creatures. There's no evidence that that ever happened, no matter what they tell you. It was a major leap from the idea that there were mutations among certain species, and they took that and they ran with it, and then they came up with this whole half-baked thing about evolution and everything coming from the same source. Well, that's all I want to talk about on today's video. If you're not a subscriber, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. Who knows, maybe eventually I'll have a cult following of my own, something for me to shoot for, shoot for the stars and be my own cult leader. I have been called a cultist before. I mean, it's kind of just one of those things that people can just throw around. It's a label to make others look bad or whatever. So they throw that label around. So, maybe I'll be an aspiring cultist on here. Maybe I need to even come up with a cool name for my program. It seems like I've had to be dealing with atheists all the time lately. Maybe I'll be the atheist slayer or something, some kind of a cool name like that. I don't know. But anyway, if you're not a subscriber, I do encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I'll probably be back with more stuff about atheists because they just keep on. It's like a source of material that just keeps on coming. And while I do kind of I can find humor in almost anything. I mean, I've got a sense of humor, and I can find humor in even in atheism. It's so silly, but it's serious business too, because they are destroying souls with this stuff they're doing. This deconstruction stuff, I don't think it's nearly as much, as big as they're making it out as. I don't think atheism is catching on like wildfire, like some of them saying. I don't think that there's all these people leaving Christianity for atheism like they're saying, but there are people that are getting caught up in it. There's young people that are getting caught up in this thing, and they think it's kind of cool to become a deconstructionist. It is serious business. We don't want to lose any souls. We don't want to see anybody wind up in hell. And yes, hell is a real place, and I don't want to see anybody wind up there. So it's serious business, and that's why I'm spending so much time coming against it. Because I watched enough of these videos that they put out to know that they can't back up the stuff they're saying. The sources they're using, they're either based on theories or opinions. They do not have anything that they can prove with all this stuff. Oh, they love to make statements. They love to tell you things that are like they're facts, but they're not facts at all. And so, there's really no reason to believe them. And I keep repeating this over and over, and I make a lot of videos about it because it's serious business. And I want people to realize it. You need to go back. If you start listening to these people and get caught up in their so-called deconstruction thing, you need to go back and you need to start questioning the science and all the other sources they're using. A lot of time they aren't even using sources. A lot of the time, all they're doing is making claims like Well, heck, even most theologians believe this, or the majority of scientists believe that, or then they'll start spouting off things that are theories and calling them facts and stuff like that. I've even had one of them said that scientific theory is better than facts, which is absolutely stupid. But that's what he was saying. He said it was actually better than actual facts. No, it's not. But they will say anything, and then when it comes down to, criticizing the Bible and Christianity, they just throw those darts at the board, see what'll stick. And if they can find somebody who's just a little bit gullible and not that strong in the faith, they believe what they're saying without question. They question the Bible about everything, but they don't question those things that the atheists are saying. When they tell you historians of, questioning whether Moses was even real or Jesus was even a real character, and they start just spouting off stuff, claiming the Romans made up Jesus and he wasn't even a real person, they'll tell you all kind of junk like that they can't prove any of it. Oh, they may cite somebody if you're lucky. A lot of them don't even cite anybody. But the people they're citing are just giving opinions. They're not giving facts. But they'll tell you that, our understanding of science or the majority opinion, goes against the Bible, so therefore don't believe the Bible. I'm saying, look at what their sources are. Are they even really capable of knowing all these things? I mean, even stuff that they call scientific facts and stuff about the stars and about different things, they can't prove any of that stuff. How in the world can they tell you? Just to give you an example, they will tell you they discovered a planet millions of light years away going around a star that is capable of sustaining life just like here on Earth. Now, just common sense tells me there is absolutely no way they can know that. And when you actually go to looking at why they believe this stuff, it really is silly. But that's the kind of junk that passes off as science and the reason why they're claiming that the Bible's not true. Most of the things they're claiming in the Bible are contradictions or not. I mean, it's just one ridiculous thing after another they say, but they're so convincing because they are so sure of themselves. They are so confident in what they're saying that people just believe they're telling them the truth, and they don't even question the sources or anything. So, I mean, I hope better for you all that are watching. I hope you're smarter than that. And if you did get into the deconstruction thing and you were losing your faith, you need to go back and you need to start questioning all those things these people are telling you. Can they prove any of it? Because from what I'm seeing, they haven't been able to prove anything. It's all just a bunch of stuff they're just spouting off. And you know what, I would tell you the same thing I've been saying before. If you have gotten into deconstruction and you have fallen away from the faith, I believe Jesus will welcome you back. You just need to return back. You need to swallow any pride you got about this, admit you were wrong, and come on back, because the time is short, I believe, before we get towards the tribulation period. And you need to get into the ark of safety now. You need to get ready for the return of Christ now. He could come at any day or any hour. So now is the day of salvation. Don't put that off. And don't worry about what anybody thinks of you for coming back. I've said this before too, and I believe it because I know how I would be. If you come back to the faith, I believe you will be accepted back again. Any real Christian would love to have you back again in their church, and they will welcome you with open arms. And I would be rejoicing because you came back to the faith, because none of us want to see anybody wind up in hell. As a matter of fact, even all these atheists are out there spouting off their stuff. I don't get any joy or anything out of the fact that they're going to wind up in hell. I don't like that. I wish there was a way to save them. And I will tell you, there's a couple of them that I believe have gone too far, and I don't believe they're even capable of being saved anymore. But most of them could probably still come back again. God would welcome them back. But now is the day to come back, not later, but today is the day. And the moment you realize you've been tricked, just realize it can happen. It's happened to a lot of people. And I'm kind of just try to warn you about some of their tactics. Or I talk about former pastor Timmy Gibson. His favorite tactic is to try to make all your beliefs seem silly. Back in the day, do you know I actually believe that Noah's Ark story? Do you know that back in the day, I actually believed in the Genesis account of creation. And I even believed that a real serpent tempted Eve. That's Timmy Gibson. It's a tactic he uses. But then look at what he believes. If he believes in the science, look at the silly things he's saying. And like I said, I turn this around on him. Imagine turning it around and you're deconstructing from their stuff. Can you remember? I remember the day when I actually believed in that evolution nonsense. I actually believed that we evolved from fish. See, I can turn it right around on them too. So realize that you've been tricked. And remember that Jesus still loves you and he will accept you back. But today is the day to get right. Don't wait on it. Get right today because we have no assurance of tomorrow. Well, anyway, that's all the time I have on today's program. Again, if you're not a subscriber, I do encourage you to subscribe to my channel. Lord willing, I'll have some more videos here talking about some of the silly nonsense we're getting from atheists, or maybe a different topic. I never know. Might be uploading some new videos, music videos. I've been preparing to put up some new ones. I actually got a couple of new ones I uploaded last week, and you're welcome to check them out. Even have a brand new pro-life message song that I put on there. Her name is Amy, so if you get a chance, you might want to check that out. Also, in case you didn't know, I also run a Christian radio station over at live365.com called WCB, and that station's been on the air for over 3 years, playing the best in Southern gospel music, a little bit of light contemporary, and maybe a little bit of bluegrass gospel thrown in, but mostly it's Southern gospel. So you're welcome to check that out too. That's WCB, and it's over at live365.com. Well, anyway, until the next video, I hope that the Lord will bless you and keep you. And I look forward to seeing you back again with my upcoming videos.